Hey everyone, let's just jump right into today's explainer. We're going to be breaking down two incredibly gripping fictional narratives. These are straight from a popular YouTube channel that serve as basically modern-day morality tales. We're looking at what happens when hardworking, everyday people are suddenly forced to confront a deeply, deeply corrupt system. These scripted stories are all about power, heavy injustice, and ultimately that incredibly satisfying triumph of truth over absolute arrogance. So the real core of what we're looking at today is vulnerability. Specifically, what happens when ordinary citizens are pushed to the absolute brink by the exact people sworn to protect them. I mean, think about it. What happens when state officials decide to just completely exploit their positions for personal gain and unchecked ego? As we'll see, these stories paint a pretty vivid picture of a system that has just completely lost its moral compass. Let's start with Section 1, Unchecked Abuse of Power. Right from the jump in both of these narratives, we get hit with the terrifying reality of absolute authority in the wrong hands. It's kind of like a masterclass in establishing villains. On one side, we've got Inspector Byra Singh. He doesn't just harass folks, he literally destroys a poor farmer's entire livelihood, tossing their belongings in the dirt over totally false accusations. And then contrast that with Inspector Bhavani in our second tale. Her abuse is so public and immediate, she's out there extorting street vendors and violently assaulting a young woman in a crowded market, all over a spilled drink. The methods are different, but man, that underlying toxic entitlement, it is exactly the same. But, this street-level harassment doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Behind Inspector Bhairav Singh's cruelty are these massive political and corporate stakes. We're talking about a staggering 10,000 crore factory deal being used as a bargaining chip by corrupt elites, specifically SP Neha Sharma and MLA Gajraj. They are so fixated on securing this massive payday for themselves that the cries of the innocent just mean absolutely nothing to them. Now, let's shift focus to Section 2, the vulnerable citizens. We really need to slow down for a second to truly grasp the emotional weight here. Look at this desperate plea from Shanti Devi. When Inspector Bhairav violently tears apart her home, he isn't just breaking pots and pans, right? He is literally destroying her daughter's wedding dowry, her entire life savings, just thrown into the dirt. It is a totally gut-wrenching scene that really hits home the devastating impact of predatory policing on the most marginalized people. And we see a parallel tragedy in the second story. Here, we have another young woman, also named Priya, interestingly enough, who is publicly humiliated and slapped by Inspector Bhavani. And for what? A tiny accident in a crowded market. She's just standing there, waiting for her brother Vikram, who is actually an army soldier returning from the border, and she's left completely defenseless against a uniformed officer's bruised ego. So what's the common thread here? Well, it's that when these everyday people try to seek justice from higher-ups, the system violently shuts them out. Like, Shanti Devi tries to complain to the SP, but she gets thrown out so the SP can finish up a corrupt meeting with a politician. The system just protects its own, leaving these citizens with literally nowhere to turn. It builds up so much tension, you're just sitting there wondering how on earth are they going to get out of this? And that leads us right into Section 3, the hidden protectors. Just when things seem absolutely hopeless, the pace totally shifts. Unexpected saviors step out of the shadows and flip the entire power dynamic on its head. These protectors are basically the ultimate trump cards. For Shanti Devi, her savior is Ratan Moria, the billionaire CEO of the exact company those corrupt politicians are trying to woo. And for Priya, she's saved by Aditi Sharma, a powerful district magistrate who is actually hiding in plain sight in a simple cotton suit, quietly recording the inspector's entire tantrum. And then the narrative takes this massive, cinematic twist. Out on a dark highway, after a near miss with his car, Shanti Devi recognizes a simple silver locket on the billionaire's CEO. In a flash, she realizes this incredibly powerful man is actually her long-lost son, Raju. It's a huge emotional payoff that leans right into those classic YouTube morality tropes. The most vulnerable victim suddenly backed by the ultimate protector. Meanwhile, back in that bustling market, things take a much more calculated legal turn. A lawyer named Rahul steps in right alongside the soldier brother. In this brilliant moment of defiance, Rahul catches the corrupt inspector's stick mid-air. But he doesn't use physical force. Instead, he drops the law on her, citing Section 46 of the police manual to legally block the assault and threaten her with attempted murder charges. It's just a brilliant example of using the system's own rules against the corrupt. Let's move to Section 4, facing the consequences. This brings us to the climax, where the blinding arrogance of these officials walks them right into a trap, leading to some incredibly satisfying karmic downfalls. Let's break down the sequence. First, the officers double down, boasting about their power because they genuinely think they're untouchable. Then, boom, the reveal. The billionaire CEO calls the chief minister to instantly cancel the 10,000 core deal, and the DM flashes her ID in the market. And finally, immediate action. Swift, decisive suspensions and arrests that just shatter those massive egos in seconds. The accountability here is absolute. I mean, Inspector Bayroff is literally stripped of his uniform by his own men and locked in the exact same jail cells where he tortured people. The higher-ups, SP Neha and MLA Gajraj, get arrested, with the chief minister even ordering the demolition of the MLA's illegal properties. And Inspector Bhavani suspended right on the spot by the DM, pending a full inquiry. I have to highlight the DM's powerful words to that groveling inspector, because they really struck me. This mistake was not an error. It was your ego. And ego doesn't get forgiveness, it gets punishment. That right there, that perfectly captures the essence of these accounts. It completely delivers on the promise of systemic justice that we as the audience have been craving since minute one. Which brings us to our final section, the ultimate moral lesson. So why does all of this actually matter? When we put these stories side by side, we see a clear shared DNA. Whether the crime is property destruction or a physical assault, and whether the victim is a poor farmer or a soldier's sister, the core message is identical. The justice might arrive via massive corporate power or an on-the-spot legal suspension, but both narratives tap into a really deep-seated societal desire for the protection of the marginalized. Ultimately, these explainer accounts serve as highly effective moral lessons. They show incredibly forcefully that those who harass the innocent are absolutely going to face severe consequences. It reinforces that comforting, age-old idea. Justice might get delayed by bureaucracy or corruption, but it will eventually catch up to those who abuse their power. And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over. If we crave these fictional triumphs this much, if it feels so intensely satisfying to watch a corrupt official lose everything, what does that say about our real-world hunger for accountability? How can we better demand this kind of swift, systemic justice in our own institutions without having to wait for a billionaire or an undercover official to save the day? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the systems around you.